I don't even have no more water. All right, so I was basically kind of trying to say that, there's a curse on groups. When you are in the industry, it just seems as though there's going to be one person that just fucks the entire thing up. There's going to be one person that's like, oh, I think I should get more of this. I need to be more in the limelight. I need more verses. I need more time. I need more money. And it just seems like that one person becomes a cancer and it affects the entire group. And now nobody can move forward. And you see it over time and time and time again. I think the only groups that kind of survived it was like TLC, but unfortunately they had a death. And Destiny's Child, which was, they became women and they were like, okay, I want to spread out and do my own thing. So they didn't really break up because of the industry. So I don't know which like group of men that kind of like went the entire route without breaking up. Might be Boyz II Men. It may be, yeah, Boyz II Men, but they did like lose a member, but they lost a member because of like something other than maybe industry stuff, and it was after the height of their success. But the Joe Budden podcast is kind of like another social experiment. These Joe Budden was the brand. I mean, when they started rising, he was the brand, he was the face. And then it became, okay, we're invested as the audience, we're invested in all three of them and their dynamic, their chemistry, their backstories of, what they went through when they were, kind of struggling getting it out the mud. So it kind of seems weird now, which is like, dang, y'all just beat a pandemic together and y'all break up. Like, I mean, come on, that should have made y'all stronger. But I guess it seems as though Joe Budden is he's being attacked by two people that he felt would never, cross that line. And it seems as though, Rory and Maul are kind of like feeling as though they're not appreciated and they're not equal to their friend who they feel like they kind of started this podcast with. And I think it all comes down to logistics and, the beginning story of how Joe Budden became this podcaster. And if you look at it as the way he explained it in his episode on his podcast, where he was, with him and Parks and Ian, it just seems as though, he has an idea of when the podcast actually started and who was involved and who he had to fire. And when he put on, and I have to say put on because we would have never known who Rory and Maul were if it was not for that podcast. Destiny and fate happens. If they were meant to be in the limelight, they were meant to be successful in the industry, then who would know? I mean, come on, nobody's a psychic here. But it just feels like if they were, these essentially kind of like regular people and they're associated with this celebrity, this star, even though they're with this celebrity, this star, they still have to put it in their mind that I'm not him. I'm not that. Like, I have to be my own person and the people will love me for being me. And that is exactly what happened. And so it's really a shock to all the fans because we're seeing the animosity and the turmoil and like the friction on camera. And it's just like any minute now, these dudes are gonna fight or they're not all gonna be on the show no more. And I saw it was one, I think it was like before they didn't show up, it was probably two podcasts before that, and it was like super awkward. And it was silence and there was like this kind of like anger and tension that was going on. It was like, well, what the hell happened? Like, of course, they're not going to talk about it, but us kind of having faith in Joe Budden being so transparent and just being so blunt about things, we like, oh, at any moment he's going to tell us what happened, but he never does. And so when they don't show up, it's like, dang, okay, so we was right. My assumption throughout the years, as we go through like maybe 2019, 2020, you can see that Roy and Maul have more of a bond than uh Maul and Joe Budden and Rory and Joe Budden. And I saw that just watching, just observing, because of the stories they told, throughout the years. I'm like, dang, it kind of seems like, Rory and Maul are more of, I know this is like childish, but they're more best friends than Joe Budden. But Joe Budden keeps kind of giving these backstories of him and Maul being really close and being like brothers and being like family. And it's just like, well, he don't really seem like he like you. And they were sitting next to each other, in those past podcasts. And you know how somebody laugh and then they'll touch you or whatever. Maul was always like, don't touch me, don't touch me, like stop fucking touching me. And it's just like, damn, like he really don't like him. But I can see, because I'm always like intuitive, I could tell when somebody don't like me. I could tell when energy is just really weird. And I felt like Joe Budden was just ignoring it. Like, he'll get over it, da da da. But it's like, no, you need to pay attention when someone's showing you a different vibe. Like you need to really pay attention, like, okay, this dude's not really fucking with me. And I think when you're in a business and you're owning something and you're trying to ask for help from family or friends, you're not thinking that they're going to cross you. You're not thinking that they're going to get greedy. You're not thinking that they're going to feel entitled. You're thinking they're helping me and we do this together, but you know that I'm the boss. I made this happen. You're here because of me. And you don't, I could tell like Joe Budden was like, I'm trying not to say that. I'm trying not to give that energy out there because it is a collective thing. But I'm the star. I'm meant to be in the middle. I'm meant to be I always say, I'm meant to be the Beyonce of this. And he was trying so hard. And I could tell like on camera, you could tell he was just holding back. And I forget what episode it was. But he was rarely saying anything. He was like, y'all talk, y'all say something. Put up the topic, y'all talk about it. And he seemed like just off. And his energy, even though his energy is kind of like wacky anyway, you can tell when his energy is high, when it's low. And you're just like, you're watching, you're like, dang, I don't think he's feeling this one. Like, what happened? And I like to mind my business. That's men's business. They're going to figure it out because men can argue and fight. They can fight and almost kill each other and then be friends like a week later or whatever. But I think this one is different because there's a betrayal. And I'm going to say this. I think Joe Budden might be the first black man to fire a white man publicly. And it was like, listen to him say you're fired. I'm like, damn. Like I'm sad about it. I'm like, yes. But it comes under the guise of Joe Budden saying to Maul, like, wake up. It's me and you. We have this connection. We have this relationship. We have these years under our belt. And you leaving with this white boy? Because that's what it comes down to when it comes to that camaraderie. Like black men have this hidden kind of language, and they have this secret language that only black men can really kind of decode with each other. And it just seems like Maul kind of like shut it off, and he's like, I'm gonna go over here because he thinks this is right. He thinks this is the moral high ground or whatever. But it's like, okay, you can disagree with your homie, but y'all share something a little bit more than you do with this white boy, with this white man. I'm calling him white man because they use the word boy in a derogatory term. I'm not going to stoop to their level to do that. Rory is a white man. And psychologically, it is always a black man against another black man because of a white man. And I think Joe Budden understands that because he knows in the business, white people are going to look out for each other no matter what. And that is the key to what Joe Budden be saying. And he don't really try to say because he knows I can't say certain stuff because I'm getting paid by these people because everybody has a boss. I mean, that's just what it is. And Maul kind of just looked at it as all three of us, you're treating me and him. And Joe Budden's like, I'm looking at you because you are my friend. You are my brother. We've been through so much together and you're just going to throw all that away because I'm treating him wrong? Are you crazy? Like, I'm still looking out for you because we share that bond. We don't have that bond with him. So you're going to leave your home to go with this dude because I'm treating him wrong. That sounds crazy to me. I mean, I'm a loyal person, and I feel like if I feel you're doing something wrong, I'm not going to call you out about it publicly because I don't want people to attack you. I'm going to pull you to the side and let you know that's not how I'm rolling. I don't like that. And if you can't agree with me when we're talking about this situation privately, then I'm going to separate from you. But I'm never going to bash you publicly because the world already does that. And I feel like Maul is off code. You know what I'm saying? He out of line, leaving, and kind of standing to the side with Rory when Joe Budden is your brother. Like, that's your brother. And that's why I think Maul will absolutely kind of falls to the wayside because he's following. Like, when you really listen to like everything Joe Budden was saying and you look at the optics of it, Maul is a follower. He don't really stand on his own. He think he does, and he tries to say it and try to believe it and try to get us to believe that he's this stand-up guy, but he's really a follower. Because in the situation of what was happening, he could have easily talked to Joe Budden and say, listen, this is not right. That is not right. We need to do this. We need to figure this out. I'm pretty sure Maul was the go-to guy that Joe Budden was looking for to kind of keep him grounded. But Maul is worried about another man, and it's like, that's kind of weird to me. Like, don't you care about your own? Like, you have a home to take care of. So you willing to go broke poor with this dude who clearly he's thinking about himself. He might say that he's thinking about Maul in the future, whatever, but Rory is thinking about himself. It's in his DNA. Okay, it's in his DNA to think for himself and only care about people that look like him. That's in his DNA, and it's not in our DNA because, we've been brainwashed and we've been conditioned to put people before us. But if Maul was thinking, hey, I have food to put on my table, I have clothes to put on my back, I'm not going to go on strike. I'm going to talk this out. We're going to talk this out. The podcast is meant for them to have this safe space so that they can talk. I remember Joe Budden saying that all the time. Like, this is a safe space. Let's do this. Let's talk this. But they're being so sneaky behind closed doors. And if all three of y'all is supposed to be, brothers and businessmen and in business together, why couldn't all three of y'all have those conversations? Why was Rory and Maul, having a powwow together? Like, that's weird to me. If all three of us are friends and we're close and we're doing this thing together, I'm not gonna go on the side and check dude over here, and then me and him come together and then go to the person that we have a problem with. No, I'm gonna call it out. Hey, all three of us need to come together and talk this out because this is what's happening. This is how I'm feeling. This is how he feeling, and we coming to you to say how we feeling. Because if you go to the side and you do a little powwow, it's gonna look sneaky. That's what it is. It's gonna look sneaky. And now both of y'all have the same lawyer, and I don't know if that's true or not. These are words that Joe Budden came out and say. I don't really know him to be a liar, but it's like, people can say whatever and people are supposed to just believe it. But until Rory and Maul comes out and say their piece, that's all we have to go on. And it just seems like if Maul would have had that conversation with Joe Budden, it wouldn't have escalated this far. I mean, Rory was definitely replaceable. He was kind of getting annoying. I'm not going to lie. He was getting annoying because it just seemed like he was so combative all the time with Joe Budden. It was like, bro, have your own opinion. Like, say something that's kind of like buzzworthy and important to the conversation. But Maul was the kind of dude in the corner that was just like, oh, all right. No, I don't agree with that. No, I don't want to do that. But it was like, at least he stood on his own thing. But he does that on camera, but it just seems like he doesn't want to really stand on his own going against Joe Budden. And it's really, really, really weird. I'm like, do nobody else see that Maul has been acting shifty towards Joe Budden for a minute? And it just seems like, I keep saying it, and it just seems like, but Rory was the leader in this thing of Rory and Maul. And it's very weird. I don't think they're coming back. I mean, he clearly fired Rory, but Maul and Joe Budden are probably never going to be friends again. And Maul would just have to reevaluate what he thinks a friendship really is. Of course, Everybody deserves respect. Now, owe is a different term. Like, you can't just be upset because he said, I don't owe you respect. You earn it. You earn it, and you continue to keep earning it until you lose it, until you do something to lose it. Some people lose respect for each other all the time and then can gain it back. But I don't owe you respect. I mean, who owes anybody anything? I mean, that's why we have good and bad. That's why we have a justice system. That's why there's a balance. I don't owe you anything except for like maybe, parents or whatever. They owe their children to, the right to grow up and feed them and house them and stuff. But I don't owe a friend respect. I don't. I don't owe you anything because you aren't related to me. You're not blood. A human being, I owe you grace, but I don't owe you mercy. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's just the terminology he was trying to like play on Joe Budden to get to see like if he actually respects Maul. And Joe Budden's like, no, I don't owe my friends respect. Like, and then they was trying to say like, oh, you owe a stranger respect. And it's like, no, I don't owe anybody respect. I just feel like if I want to, I can. And if we're friends, then that means I have some kind of respect for you. And then it grows. But you could tell Maul was losing respect for Joe Budden, and Joe Budden was losing respect for Maul. And now it's all the way gone. Because I really can't see how men can be friends with each other after they say they don't respect each other. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because it was a really good podcast. So yeah, I'm gonna reevaluate some more stuff and just see like what else I come up with, because it's a real great kind of like lesson to be learned in this situation. So that's it for me. I'm Ashita Irene. Thank you for watching. Bye.